So today begins preparations for our first season in the second highest league in the non-league system. It may not sound like much, but we have basically pulled ourselves up from a glorified pub team to actually competing in a league that is loaded in the regular Football Manager database. And oh boy, is it going to be quite a step up from what we're used to. I've got quite a few holes to patch in my team and very little money to actually do it with. So let's just get into it. So we're starting this episode off with a pretty insane little stat that's just popped up in a news item. Despite us going out in the first round proper of the FA Cup last season, Ephraim Yeboah set a new record for the most amount of goals in a competition, scoring 11. And even more insane, I didn't even realise this, that Matty Lusaqueno previously held the record when we absolutely demolished the qualifying stages a couple seasons ago, when he managed to score 8 goals. So we are back-to-back record holders in the FA Cup despite never getting past the first round. But anyway, on to what this episode is going to be all about. We need to basically rebuild our squad. The players haven't left yet at this time of recording. We've got Joe Maguire and Will Evans both leaving. I have offered Joe Maguire a non-contract with just an appearance fee just to try and keep him around as a backup in case we can't find a left back, because although I don't know if Maguire is going to be good enough, we are going to struggle to get players, so it makes sense to keep an additional option around as far as I'm concerned. Tommy Jackson has signed a new contract. Harry Kant has also signed a new contract wherever he is. And whereas Tommy Jackson had to sign on a non-contract with an appearance fee, Harry Kant just let me sign into a proper contract for another year for, I believe, £5 a week more. So although I would quite like for him to not be our second choice goalkeeper, because I don't really think he's good enough, he's at least going to be there for one more season just for emergencies. I'm still doing everything I can to try and extend, well, Burke's loan primarily, because he has been absolutely incredible for us this season. Liddell and Paradise, I'd definitely be open to keeping, well, either of them. But with those, I think I'm probably going to look for other loan options and just see who we can get in. You know, we're going up a division. It would make sense we're going to get a slightly higher calibre of player available to us. So hopefully we can find someone that is going to be slightly better than them. If I look at the squad plan app, so as it stands, we've got Bates and Maguire at left back. Neither of them are brilliant, but I do like Bates just because he's obviously an attacking fullback and cover on the wing if we need it. At centre back, we've pretty much only got Mitchell and Gofford, because Tanadre is currently going to be playing right back more often, although Piggott can obviously play there as well. Let's get him added back in. Defensive midfield, we've got Gofford and Helliwell, which under current circumstances is probably going to be more Helliwell than Gofford, just because we need Gofford at the back currently. Although I'd really like for Gofford to be our main defensive midfielder. As it stands, this is our current order. Centre mids, I'd probably go like this and put Cade Ratchford is my first choice for a centre midfielder left, because that's where we have our deep line playmaker or advanced playmaker. Dylan Helliwell in behind him. Jack Morehouse quite low on the pecking order, although probably third, because he is our first choice on the right side, which is normally a Mazzala or a box-to-box. Helliwell probably our second choice on that side, and Ratchford down quite a low option. Then on the wings, we need to add in Gaksha, who is right there. We'll add him into both sides. Him and Waldo are currently pretty much our only available options, which is a slight problem. I'm hoping to have Gaksha on the left-hand side and playing him more of an inside forward or inverted winger. I think both of them could work quite well for him. That would probably put Charlo Waldo as our second choice and Jack Bates as our third choice, you know, if we need him. If Gaksha is playing on the right, then these two would obviously move up. Gaksha is also our first choice right winger at the moment. And then we've got Yeboah, Lusaqueno and Gaksha as our main strikers. So that leaves the obvious question, where exactly do we want to improve? I would obviously like to get Tommy Jackson on an improved contract where, you know, he's actually signed to us, so we can't just have someone stealing him at some point, but that might not be possible. Potentially left back, although I am okay with these two if it comes to it. I'd say definitely a centre-back, because then that frees Ollie Gofford up to play defensive midfield. Right back, I think we're pretty much covered. Defensive mid and midfielders were pretty much covered. We obviously need at least one more winger to go along with Gaksha, and then we've got a bit of cover, but we only have Gaksha on the right-hand side, so I'd sort of need to get two in, just even if one's more of the youth option that isn't getting paid a whole lot, just to be able to provide a bit of competition and also, obviously, make sure that he's got cover in case he gets injured. And up front, I think we're okay. I mean, Yeboah wasn't really performing for a lot of the games last season, but I think between him and Lusaqueno and potentially Gaksha if we get in a couple of wingers. And Gaksha's not a bad striker, I will say, but he's definitely not of the same quality of Yeboah, and probably not even Lesequeno, to be honest. I definitely see Gaksha as more of a midfielder. So that's left back, centre backs, and wingers. So that's potentially 5 signings, which on a current budget where I've got just over £200 left in my wage budget is a little bit scary. Which, after all I've just said, might make this first signing that I've been very tempted by a little bit of a surprise. But I've been considering Sonny Lewis here. He is a centre midfielder, and he will be coming in on only £150 a week, which I think is pretty much a bargain when you look at him. He can play quite a few positions, although I definitely wouldn't be playing him in defence. I was thinking about bringing him in as a replacement for Cade Ratchford in our playmaker role, and he's accepted a contract with us. He's turned out some teams that are higher than us, but if I compare him to Ratchford, he is better pretty consistently. Like, Ratchford's got slightly better aerial abilities, but they're the same height, pretty much the same weight, both right-footed. And I've been a little bit caught on what to do here. I've already delayed the transfer 3 times, and I'm not sure I'm going to get away with it another one. If I compare the two, as you can see, Sonny Lewis is just generally a very big upgrade over Cade Ratchford. He's got great leadership, reasonable teamwork. He could potentially come in as a captain or vice-captain for us. And I really am considering it, but if I do sign him, he is going to basically mean that we need to rely on loans for at least a couple of the positions, which I don't think is going to be a problem, but I am a little bit concerned that this could come back to bite us. I have literally sat here for 15 minutes just going over every comparison, all the different formations that we use, all of the dynamics, all of the squad planner, just trying to justify this transfer. And although I think Sonny Lewis would be a pretty fantastic upgrade, I think I'm going to cancel it. If he's still available in a couple of months, I might come back in for him, but we're going to do it. With the fact that, the season hasn't ticked over to the new one, we need to see the kind of players that are going to be available to us for the positions that we desperately need, rather than improving somewhere where I would say we are probably at our strongest already. I just can't justify spending so much of my wage budget so early in the transfer window. I really do think I'm going to end up regretting this, but let's hope not. I also do have a contract in principle accepted. The news item to say he's joining hasn't come through yet for Jack Wadham. I've had my eye on him for about 6 months or so, and again, I'm still not 100% sure I'm going to sign him. He's got a few areas where he's lacking, and being just as a ball-winning midfielder, it would push Gofford back into our centre-back slot. But I do think he's not bad, and him and Gofford could sort of share the 2 roles, I suppose. But yeah, this is another one that I am unsure about. Even if he accepts, will be delayed a couple of weeks at the very least. And even scarier, potentially. I think our board in every season so far have requested playoffs or promotion. And now we're just expected to try and avoid a relegation battle. We're not trying. We're expected to avoid a relegation battle. So that's probably like a lower mid-table finish. And that's not really something I'm that comfortable with. Do we get anything extra? We get an extra £114 in the wage budget if we predict a mid-table finish. As for the FA Cup, I mean, I think I feel pretty confident in raising that to a 3rd qualifying round, to be honest. Definitely not worth going to the 4th qualifying round, but looking at the 3rd qualifying round being that extra £54 in the wage budget, I can't believe I'm haggling over this sort of stuff. I'm going to up that one. FA Trophy for 16 quid, definitely not worth the additional expectation. But yeah, I do think we can probably at least hit the 3rd qualifying round. I think we can hit the 4th quite comfortably, but just in case we get a bad draw, I'm going to stick with the 3rd. We're not going to do a mid-table. Should I? Do I have that much confidence in myself? I'm just looking. I really am pinching pennies at this point. I know I just said this was a terrible idea, and I seem to have sort of talked myself into it. I've got blinded by the numbers. Going from 680 up to 840, that's an extra, what's 850 basically? 850 would be an extra 170 quid. That's an extra player. And I think with a couple of loans and a couple of players, I think we could do this. Oh Lord, please don't let me get fired. Let's just go for it. So I know we've turned down one centre midfielder, but I think I might actually go with Jack Wadham. I've delayed it a couple of times, and I've been looking around, and there's not really any better options that are willing to come to us for a reasonable price. He is decent. He's a natural ball-winning midfielder, which is what we're going to play in that position anyway, so that does make sense. If I compare him with Gofford, who's currently in that position, he's not quite as fast, not quite as physical, but he is just better across the board. In a lot of cases, it's only slightly better, but he is still better in majority of areas at least. And it does free Gofford up to play centre-back. So I think this is one we're going to go with. I am really struggling to find people, if I'm honest with you, and I don't want to start missing out on players. So we're just going to go for it. Hope I don't regret this. Okay, the fan reaction and just general signing information is settling my nerves a little bit at least. So let's just welcome him to the squad and get on with trying to find some players. We've also got Asher Agbenone potentially joining us. I'm not confirming it just yet. I am going to delay it a week just so we can carry on looking at options. He's a winger. He has got pretty incredible physicals, 14 acceleration, 15 pace, 8 strength isn't bad for someone who's that fast. 15 balance, 13 flair, it's only 10 dribbling, but it's not terrible. If I compare him to someone like Gaksha, let's say, yes, Gaksha is the better player in most technical aspects, let's say, but pure physicals, he gets comfortably beaten out by Agbenone. How about Burke from last season? Yeah, he's very similar to how Burke was last season, which does give me quite a bit of confidence in him, to be honest. But either way, we're going to give it a week or two, depending on how long I think I can delay it for, or what the other options look like, and he very much may well be joining us. And there we go, Asher Agbenone is going to be joining us today. We also do have offers in for a couple of other players on loan, both from Coventry City. And Declan Miller, I'm looking to potentially play as a winger. 4 crossing is a bit of a problem, let's be honest. But apart from that, I think it'd be a pretty good option for us on the wing and also extra cover for us up front. And obviously the fact that we're not paying any of his wage is going to be a big bonus to that as well. And then the slightly better option, I would say, Talon Shepherd as a centre-back. 6 foot, good pace, good strength, 14 heading, 12 tackling, has only got 8 marking, which isn't brilliant, but that's still more than good enough. And he is, if I compare him to maybe Gofford, yeah, it's probably not the best comparison. Gofford's a lot more well-rounded in general. Let's go for Tanadre. Tanadre is obviously better, but Talon Shepherd coming in on no money whatsoever, even if it's just as a depth option, is always going to help us. In a pretty crazy turn of events, a few weeks ago, where is the news report? Never mind. Jack Morehouse approached me saying that he was thinking about considering his options at the end of his contract, exactly the same as happened last year. I somehow managed to talk him down from it again, and then had this news item through saying, obviously, the contract's expiring into the season, offered him a new contract. And he has, at least in theory, agreed a contract for less than £200 a week. So he's gone from wanting to leave to agreeing a smaller contract. Gaksha has agreed a contract on, I believe, 160, and Zach Mitchell has agreed another contract, again, on 160. So we have managed to slightly lower our wage bill, as well as keeping hold of 3 of our best players there, I would say. And then we've also got Cade Ratchford, who is expiring, but he's not willing to discuss a contract at the current time. I'm hoping I can maybe get him down once it does come back around again. But yeah, actually a bit of good news there. That was very surprising that worked out so well. And with the savings we've had off those past few new contracts, we've been able to offer Tommy Jackson a new contract. So he's actually going to stay with us for certain now for this season and next season. He's only on £110 a week, which I believe he was on about 130 or so beforehand. And then obviously had a non-contract with an appearance fee of about 130. So, the fact that that could have been costing us 260 a week if we played twice, which is every chance we're going to be doing with cups and whatnot. This is a huge saving for the club, even if it does mean this comes off our wage bill. But I suppose it's all the same. It's all the same pot of money at the end of the day, even if Football Manager doesn't present it in such a way. And a completely unexpected double whammy of good news here. We are making our first proper sale of the save. And I mean, it's only 80,000. It's not going to completely repair the club's financial damage. But we've had an offer in for Peter Ladassi for £80,000, and I've managed to get 25% sell-on fee as well. Just on the off chance that something does come of him and he ends up going for decent money, we're going to accept that. That's not only a relatively huge amount of money coming into the club, it also completely vindicates me for accidentally spending £20,000 on a work permit application way back when £20,000 would have probably bought you the entire club. I wasn't going to be able to get a work permit for him. I wasn't going to pay to try and get a work permit for him. So we've just decided to let him go. And £80,000 coming into the bank will get us down well below the £100,000 in the red at the very least. And you can see on here, we have actually turned a profit so far this season. I've been going quite hard on the money-making friendlies. I think the Barnsley game and the Bolton game, we've made about 8,000 to 9,000 profit off. There's a few local teams in here as well, like Coleshill, Suttle, Hales, Owen, that I organised in between the assistant manager generated friendlies. I don't know what you'd call them. But the local games were basically no money for 1,000 or so profit, whereas the Barnsley and Bolton games have generated just probably 15 to 20,000 between the two of them. and it's basically paid for all the wages on the off-season, which is fantastic. I'm not impressed that on the club vision screen we're still struggling to repair the financial damage when I feel like I'm doing absolutely everything I can, quite frankly. I mean, I am signing new players, which might seem counterintuitive, but, not being relegated is important, surely. And also, if we can manage to get to the first round of the FA Cup again, like we did last season, and get matched up against someone with a half-decent stadium, we obviously got £140,000 from playing Sheffield Wednesday last season in the first round. So if we can manage even half of that again, we will basically be in the black for the season. And there we go. Peter Ladassi is off. Thank you for your service. You have helped us greatly. Maybe not on the pitch, but, everywhere else, let's say. Good luck with your career. There's no way I'd come back while you're still manager. Well, fuck you. We only signed you to make some money. Off you hop. And Jack Morehouse has signed a new contract with the club. Down here, Zach Mitchell also signed a new contract with the club, and there's been a few more coming in over the last few days. But with all of that transfer activity, we have gone from £300 in the wage budget up to £649. This is absolutely incredible. I'm going to carry on shopping. Whoops. And well, this snuck up on me a bit. I was not thinking about the fact that our first game of the season was going to be so soon, so we're going to be jumping into that in a second. The only other bit of transfer news I've got going on, we are looking at a few fullbacks. I have identified that left back is an area where we are probably struggling a bit. We've got Maguire and Bates, depending on if we want, Maguire's more defensive, Bates is more for going forward. I have been trying to disrupt Ethan Pye, because he's very good indeed for us, but he's already on £400 a week. He seems happy at FC United in Manchester, so I don't think there's much luck there. And then I've been looking at Silvio Bello and Leo Hamblin. Now, I think at the two, I'd probably go with Hamblin. I'll go to Silvio Bello first. He is not bad. He's got pretty good defensive stats at the very least. 7 heading is not great, but 11 marking, 10 tackling, 10 work rate. One of those players that have got no stats that are 12 or above, so there's no blues here, but is pretty consistently good across the board. If I compare him to Leo Hamblin, they are sort of two quite different types of players. You've got Hamblin is much better mentals, aerials and technicals, whereas Bello is slightly better attacking and vision, quite a bit better physically, even on defence. If I look at a straight comparison between the two, it's pretty much 50-50 split on the technicals. Hamblin definitely takes the mentals, and it's probably more towards Bello, I'd say. 3 better each than each other, but Hamblin has got a couple of quite low stats on this side, so I'm not sure which one I'm going to go with for certain. If I look at Hamblin straight up, he's definitely jumped out more at me, but I don't know if that's just because, he has got these couple of blue stats, which obviously makes him look a lot better, even if they are only 1 point better than a lot of Bellows. So I'm waiting to see how these two pan out. We're not paying him a whole lot. I mean, Silvio Bello, we're looking at paying him £75 a week, and Leo Hamblin was £100 a week. So either one of them could add a bit of depth to us, and I don't think either of them would be a particularly bad signing. But anyway, I think it's time for us to just get into the match. Is there any changes I want to make to our lineup? I have been messing with this a little bit throughout the off-season, as players have been coming in and out. Obviously, it would be nice to have Zach Mitchell at the back, but Gofford's going to be stepping in there with Talon Shepherd, obviously, our Coventry loan signing that we've got, who seems like he could be very good, but who knows? We'll have to find out in actual match. But yeah, so Jack's at the back, Bates, Shepherd, Gofford and Tenardre across defence, Jack Wadham in defensive midfield, Ratchford and Morehouse in centre mid, Gaksha, Agbinone and Yeboah up front. I am very curious to see how this team does. We are at home in our first game of the season against Radcliffe. Where are they predicted to finish in the league? Media prediction of 5th. So they are actually not a bad side at all. Where are we predicted? Because I know we were going up a bit. Oh, we're now predicted to be 5th. Radcliffe are now predicted to be bottom. Wait, what? Doesn't make sense. Media prediction 5th. And throughout the off-season, since this came out, they've now dropped to being bottom. That makes no sense. All if they just got rid of a load of good players. I mean, they've got rid of some. One of them for £10,000. Ben Ward. He must be... Yeah, he's not bad at all, actually. Estimated price of 24 to 330,000. He's not terrible. But if I compare him to, who's our defensive midfielder? I mean, Wadham, I suppose, is. Oh, yeah, he is just comfortably better than him. I was looking at the stats. I think Jack Wadham could beat him. Maybe not. We're just going to have to see how the match goes. We also, I think, for the first time, haven't got anyone at all in the Media Dream 11. If we look down the... Oh, Bo Beresford. Yeah, I'm sure I had him on a previous Football Manager. Yeah, if I'm looking down the key players list, we've got Asher Agbinone and Jack Morehouse in there. And that's it. So yeah, we're going to have to... we could be up against it. But anyway, let's get into the match. I think this lineup works for us. Okay then, right. So what we're going to do for our first team talk of the season, I mean, our home form is important to us. That makes sense to me. Just try and cheer up some of the players a bit because some of them are looking, well, one of them's looking a bit nervous and now they're all looking bloody fantastic. Okay, we are in our standard 4-3-3 while Radcliffe are in, oh God, a 5-3-2, a 5-1-2-2, one of the two, I'm not sure. Okay, away we go. Quite a quiet start to the match. Let's switch back to an overview. We don't need to see around the grounds just this early in the season. Yeah, a very quiet start to the match. This is 30 minutes now with no highlights at all, and we get our first highlight, and it looks like it's probably going to be for them. Hannah with a long ball over gives the ball away. Jackson collects, right. That can't be the highlight that this is for. So let's see what we're going to do here. So he's thinking a long time, and he long ball up towards Gaksha, but it doesn't. But he gets cut out, and now Stanley's going down the wing. We need Bates to cut him out here. Really, got two players on him, and neither of them want to tackle him. But Tanajo gets it away. Beresford coming inside now, but Gofford gets his head to it. Agbenone gets his head to it. Bates gets his head to it. Gaksha gets his head to it. Should get a soundboard going on. Another long ball over. Truman can't quite get there though. They get another chance and they score that one there. Aguier puts away the first proper chance of the match. That was just consistent pressure from them. That was a little bit crazy. So we're just taking my jacket off. It's 200 degrees in this bloody room. Yeah, we did so well getting this away constantly, and then they finally find that little breakthrough, makes a break past the defence. It's a good finish from them, but they are supposedly the worst team in the division. So let's do a quick... I'm still clicking on instructions to the shouts every single time. Demand more. And doesn't look like it's going to have any effects before half-time. It's just nothing has been created apart from that one goal. Okay, right. We haven't taken enough shots. Okay, people just aren't too thrilled. Let's try and get the defence back up as well, I suppose. Okay, Dratchford looking a little bit nervous. We might look to sub him out and bring Helliwell on in his spot if things don't improve. But no one has played, notably bad up to this point. No one has really done anything at all, I suppose. If we get to, I was going to say we'll give us the 65th minute, but okay, now Yeboah is going down the line. No one in the middle to get the ball to, though, really. Gaksha was way out wide. Gofford manages to get the ball away as the last man, though. And now Bates puts a long ball over. Gaksha is getting on the end of this. Gets it into Yeboah. How did that go over? Oh, the defender got a foot to it, I think. Smith is not the goalkeeper, is it? No, that's Clayton. Okay. I apparently did not pay much attention to their team. Anyway, Gaksha with the corner. And, Gofford puts it just the wrong side of the near post. That's a much better spell for us. We get two pretty good chances there, but I am still going to bring off, I think, Yeboah. He's on a 6.0, and he's having one of those games where he doesn't really show up. So we're going to bring Lusaqueno on. Agbenone and Gaksha. I just don't know what to do with them. I think I'm going to move Agbenone to an inside forward and see how he plays there. Which would mean that we need to probably take this off fairly wide because we've got an inverted winger and an inside forward. There's going to be a lot of runs into the middle, is how I see that at the very least. We're also going to look to change. He's not doing great. Agbenone's not doing great, but I think I'm going to leave him on. Wadham's not having a brilliant match. And actually, Ratchford, who I came onto this thinking I was going to take Ratchford off, but he has been our best midfielder at the very least. I am going to switch him to an advanced playmaker on support. Morehouse to an attacking Mazzala. We'll see how that goes for a little bit. We've got an instant corner. Oh, no, we haven't. Jackson a long ball out to Tanajo. Can he get this away? Agbenone looks like he's going to beat the defender. He's one-on-one. Can he mark his debut with a goal here? And it's off the post. It gets deflected onto the post by the defender. That's absolutely ridiculous. Another demand more. Come on. Right, we're going to go for the slightly more nuclear option that we like to bring out from time to time. Wadham is not having a good game, so we're going to bring Helliwell on. Agbenone. We're going to take off for Declan Miller, who is definitely, I think he's going to be an inside forward. He says he's best as a winger, which is surprising to me with only 4 crossing. If he plays up front, what's he bad at? Okay, just all of the mentals, quite frankly. I'm going to keep him out wide. We've got Lusaqueno up front. We'll put him as winger on attack. First time he's coming onto the pitch, so I'm not 100% sure what to play him as. Morehouse can stay where he is. Do this for the last 10 minutes. Maybe go attacking. And maybe another shout. Oh, God, it's been too soon. I can't demand more again so quickly. Please just give us another highlight. I'll go back to wide. Very direct. High tempo. Oh, come on. Come on. That is not the start to the season I wanted. They had one highlight the entire game, didn't they? I mean, I know they took it. They had a couple more chances after that, apparently. We had 11 chances, but only 2 on target. That's so unfortunate. Yeah, not the best start to the season against supposedly the worst team in the division. I suppose it can only get better from there. So fortunately, we're not starting the season in the relegation zone at the very least, because we only lost 1-0. There is a couple of other things that I'd like to check before we end the episode, and one of them was actually when we come into each of the cups, which is on this screen, so that's perfect. So we're going to come into the Emirates FA Cup in the second qualifying round, which should be relatively soon. That's next month. So I think, is this the, I assume that's the preliminary round, yes, that's the extra round. Oh, then we've got preliminary first round, and then we'll come in the second qualifying round, okay. To be joined on the 6th and the 9th, so that is a month away. The FA Trophy, we're not coming into it till late November, but obviously the competition hasn't even started for another month yet, so he's going to have to get through the first few rounds and the qualifying rounds for that. The other thing I was thinking is, when the hell are we going to come back? Because as usual, I don't really have a set schedule for the start of the season at the very least, because you've got to see how the league pans out. So the teams to watch out for are going to be Scunthorpe, South Shields, Telford and Chorley. If I look on the schedule list, we've got Chorley. 3 of our next 4 games are Chorley, Scunthorpe and South Shields. That's 3 of those 4 teams. And Blythe Spartans, who have beat us in the past, haven't they? Didn't they beat us the first time we played? Yep, that was the first season. No, that was the first time we got to the FA Cup 4th round and they beat us. So we've got a bone to pick with all 4 of these teams, supposedly. You know, whether it's desperately trying to get a result from them or, you know, a vendetta. So I don't think I'm going to come back for any of those. Who else have we got that's in a relatively good spot? So we have actually got a game against AFC Telford, who are one of the other big hitters in the league, on the 24th of October. Now, that could be one to come back for, depending on how things go. Obviously, if we're doing very badly, I might end up changing that out and doing one against someone low in the league, like a near divisional rival at the very least. And if neither of those happen and we're just sort of lost in mid-table, then I might end up waiting until we get a decent cup opponent, because the first couple of rounds of the FA Cup should be okay, unless we get very unlucky in our first 2 rounds. There's so many teams in there, and so many of them are comfortably below us in the league, that I'm hoping we're going to get relatively fair draws. If that's not the case, then obviously I will come back for that. It might be back as soon as next month. But yeah, we're just going to have to see how things go. I have got no idea how we're going to perform in this league. I came into this season with expectations of struggling against relegation. The season preview screen has given me a little more hope than it maybe should have based on that first performance. One last thing before I go. What was the attendance for that game? So I didn't actually check. 245. That is not as many as I was hoping for. I was thinking, we might be up into the 300-400s comfortably, but, we'll see how the season goes. But I think I'm going to leave this here. I have recorded for quite a while. I'm not sure quite how long the episode's going to be, but it's made up of probably about 2.5 hours worth of clips over the last 3 days that I've recorded. I'm sure you won't have seen all of them. You'll have got a far trimmed down version of that. But still, thank you very much for getting through this with me. Let me know below how you think we're going to do it in the league this season. I am kind of just aiming for mid-table, I think. And then next season is where the real hard work begins. But, can't really base it off the first game. So let me know what you think down below. We will be back sometime in the next few months in game. I can't really tell you when. Subscribe to make sure you don't miss it. And I'll see you next time.